Okay, last time we started with the phases, and the very first phase, the first two parts of this phase, the formulation, program formulation phase, subphase, I would say, program formulation subphase, we started discussing, and after that we have to move on to the planning. So these two things are in the kind of initiation. And the knowledge areas, comparable knowledge areas, they're not called knowledge areas here, but the comparable areas in which we will study all this. As you have seen last time, I think we had a better slide. Yeah, this one. So we discussed last time that we have these areas which will be covered, and that includes change management, naturally, communication management, initial cost assessment, that is the financial management, and then we have got information management, procurement management, quality management, requirements management, then risk management, schedule management, and scope management. We don't have stakeholder here because stakeholder as such is a domain, a major domain, and we have already studied that, right? So what do we do as part of program formulation while we are dealing with these knowledge areas? We actually conduct an assessment for each one of these areas, because we are creating the business case for the program. So basically all of these areas must be analyzed, must be assessed, and this will contribute towards the cost benefit analysis. Once all these assessments are completed, these assessments are integrated into the core program activity, from where the business case is being developed. You see, here is the business case being developed, and this is being sent to governance. And what is governance providing us? First of all, once we were developing we were trying to integrate all the assessments, it provided us the strategic objectives, strategic guidance. And once we have done that, and the business case was approved, the charter was developed. So the permission for the charter was given from there, and it took business case as an input into it, and the charter was delivered to project integration. And from there we move on to the next subphase. Now we move on to the planning. So in planning, we will plan everything in all of these areas. All of these areas, we'll plan each one of these. So this is one of the slides we had already covered. So the first thing is change assessment. We talked about it, that as part of the program formulation, potential change management considerations are identified and assessed. How volatile your program is likely to be? Are there going to be a lot many changes or less changes? Anyways, program will have more changes as compared to a project, because there is more uncertainty in a program. But talking from the program point of view, once we are formulating this program, we have to establish that is it more volatile than a normal program, because that would count towards the business case. That would be a negative point in the business case, that this program is very dicey, this is very uncertain. Probably that would be a negative point there. So this will help us develop the program business case. We identify all the sources of changes. We see the volatility of the enterprise environmental factors, how they are likely to impact, because they are going to be a lot volatile, because for next a number of years this program is going to run. The factors are going to change in the way. The sensitivity of the proposed program's business case to changes in organizational strategy. Naturally, organizational strategy is also likely to change, and the possible frequency and magnitude of changes. So we will try to have some kind of assessment. So while we are doing that, so you see wherever there is change, there is a risk of uncertainty. So we have to calculate the likelihood, how much the risk is there. I'm not classically talking about risk, but from the point of view of changes, we have a likelihood of having a lot many changes. If that be the case, then what is the possible impact of those changes, and what is the likelihood? Then communication management, the next assessment area. In this, we have this is different from project communication because naturally project communication is too narrow a subject. Here we are talking about communicating with a lot many stakeholders, which from the project perspective are too many. Project cannot deal with so many stakeholders. That's why the life of program manager is so tough. He has to deal with a lot many people, even some of those stakeholders would be the organizational stakeholders. So they will be interacting with the program manager. Since it affects the wider array of stakeholders, more stakeholders there with widely varying communication needs, different communication approaches and methods of delivery are required. Now again, from the assessment point of view, let us see, are they manageable? The stakeholders whom we are expected to encounter during this program, is it manageable? If it is not manageable, again, it will go as a negative point in the benefit analysis, this time from the side of the communication assessment. So this is the initial assessment of communication needs of all those stakeholders. Given the broad scope of the program, naturally, we don't know exactly what the scope of the program is. So we will be talking about the high level scope. A wide range of stakeholders may be involved. And we don't know how many new stakeholders may come up. And then we have to maintain effective communication with all of them, whether they are internal or external. It may be useful as a part of program formulation to survey program stakeholders to identify their expectations. We should have some idea, if not all the idea, some idea of what they really want. So based on that, we will develop our assessment. The output will naturally be, in this case, the project communication assessment. So we have the change assessment, now we have the communication assessment, and then we move on to the cost. This cost assessment is part of the financial management program, financial management. There is no knowledge area as cost management in program. So the initial assessment of that finance is called initial cost assessment. The critical element of the program business case is an estimate of its overall cost. So it has to be rough order of magnitude. It cannot be exact at all. There is no possibility that you can have a good assessment on exact assessment on how much money will be spent on this program. So it will have to be a rough order of magnitude and an assessment of the level of confidence in this estimate. As far as the rough order of magnitude is concerned, even in projects, we say this could be accurate to minus 50 plus 100%. Minus 50 plus 100 means that whatever the estimate is coming up, we are likely to spend half of that and double of that. So in between, so if your estimate is 1 million, then the expenditure would likely be 500,000 or 2 million. I hope you understand my point. So minus 50% plus 100%. So this is the rough order of magnitude. The initial rough order of magnitude estimate allows financial decision maker to decide if the program should be funded. So based on that figure, they would make the initial decision whether funding should be done. If maybe, if the expenditure is likely to be very high and organization cannot support it at this stage, probably this is a negative point and our business case from the cost assessment point of view probably will not be supported. As I have already talked about the rough order of magnitude, because of the limited information, time and resource available, it may be difficult to develop a highly detailed and accurate cost estimate. And that is but normal. We have to have a very high level estimate. This is impossible that you can have exact estimate. Often the number will only be accurate to rough order of magnitude, as I said. Given these challenges, it can also be useful to identify the nature and sources of those costs that could not be estimated. So there would be some margin in that, some reserve would be catered into the rough order of magnitude. The output of this activity would naturally be the program initial cost estimate. So now we have got three things. We have the change assessment. We have the, what was that one? We have the communication assessment, and now we have this information. Sorry, not information, initial cost estimate. And the next one would be the information. Now, what all is getting into it? Project cost, initial cost estimate, which is an input to the program business case, the program charter, and the program cost estimation. Cost estimation will be done where the detailed cost estimation will be done during planning, the next subphase. So it will be done there, and there we will be using these things to add up to the cost estimation. Okay. As far as information is concerned, program having a long life, and therefore a lot of information traveling during that period, maybe 10 years long program. So for 10 years, a lot of information will circulate around. Naturally, it is impossible for anyone to calculate everything which will happen in the project. So again, we will have a very high order assessment of the information needs, and this is also directly associated with the stakeholders. More number of stakeholders, more information needs. So communication, information, and stakeholders, all these areas are very closely tied up together. So here we'll talk more about the program will likely generate a large number of documentation, data, and other records. How easily this information can be collected, shared, and maintained. So here, from the information point of view, our concern is only to the extent how easy the information is to handle, to collect, to share, to maintain. So if it is not easy, this is not feasible. If it is easy, comparatively easy, I'm not saying that it will be easy from all the perspectives. It may not be easy, but easier than most of the programs, I would say. So have a significant effect on both program team efficiency and how program is perceived by its stakeholders. So both axes you have to see. The team will be highly labored if there is a lot of information management going on, and the perception of the stakeholder would be too high. So this is a difficult area which we are getting into. So we have to see that information needs are not too high. The information management needs of the program should be considered as part of the program formulation so that possible financial, organizational, or resource implications can be assessed. Output, as usual, here also the assessment about information management would be the output, and again it will contribute to the business case, the charter, and naturally when the information management plan would be prepared, this would be the basic input into it. So during planning, we will have the plan created for information like we had been having from all other areas, and this also will contribute towards the business case and the charter. Procurement. Now, an assessment of the procurement needs of a program can be a very valuable input to the program charter. Is everything we are trying to do in this program is to be outsourced? There will be a different strategy to deal with that situation. Our most of the work is to be done by our own people. So if procurement needs are high, we will deal with it differently. Although all the procurement policies and practices are typically part of the organizational or environmental factors that exist before the program is authorized, and they already are there. But there are cases, for example, programs involving public-private partnership or programs involving organizations or work in multiple countries. Now, what happens is, this is very common, because programs are very large, therefore there would be joint ventures, consortiums, and lot many other kind of scenarios where we have to work in the virtual environment. There may be more than one organization working on this single program. Maybe five companies have joined hands in this consortium and they are working on it. So here it becomes more complex when we are dealing with more partners, because all of those partners need to have their fair share of the work. So procurement in this case is a little dicey. If we have, and naturally there are pros and cons in that. If we have got more people in our consortium, it is we can distribute the work and we can perform it. Maybe a single company cannot perform it, but at the same time, then every one of those five organizations would like their procurement policies to be implemented, and not the others. So this is something where the conflicts may rise. There can be problems in this area. So procurement assessment should be prepared during program definition. When procurement presents special challenges or represents a significant level of effort during program delivery. And naturally, the output would be the program procurement management assessment, which definitely be becoming the input into the business case, into the charter, and naturally into the procurement management planning. Standards and constraints for quality assessment. Just like procurement, we also in our organizations do have quality standards, quality policies and procedures in place. So we here have to understand the quality constraints, the expectations, risks, and controls should be included as part of the program formulation. Because what are the risks of not having good quality, not having good control over the quality, or not fulfilling the quality expectations of the stakeholders? Organizational and regulatory quality standards may act as important constraint on program delivery, particularly in case of a compliance program. Now we are dealing with huge entities. Our organization may not be as big and as huge as the work we are undertaking, the program we are undertaking. We already are working in a kind of a consortium where huge organizations have joined us, and we are unified in doing that job. So the quality standards, again the same problem. Various organizations who have joined they have different quality standards, and the organization for whom we are doing this job, they have different quality standards. So again, there is a reason for conflict. So if we can manage it properly without any hurdle, that is okay. Otherwise, this is a negative point. Expectations about the quality of program outputs may serve as important input to determine program cost. Naturally, they are affecting each other. If you bring in better quality, you will have to spend more money. And naturally, the more resources are required, infrastructure is required for all that. Ability of program suppliers to comply with the quality standard. So we do want to work according to the quality dictated, but at the same time, our supplier may not be adhering with the same standard. So this is an uphill task. We want to do the job right, but at the same time, we have to somehow choose our suppliers very wisely. Only those who can come up to the standard which we are actually working on. So this is a very important consideration for the program procurement as well as risk assessment from the quality point of view. Finally, need for program quality reviews or audits may be considered important to enable program governance. Naturally, the output would be the quality assessment, and like all previous ones, it is going to business case, to the program charter, and quality management planning, which will be done later in the next subphase. And naturally, this will contribute towards overall program management plan. Resources required to plan and deliver a program, and I hope you can understand. This could be people, this could be physical office spaces, laboratories, data centers, or other facilities, equipment of all types, software, vehicle, and office supplies, and so on and so forth. All kinds of resources for next so many years. An estimate of the required resources, particularly staff and facilities, which may have long lead times or affect ongoing activities, is required to prepare the program business case and should be reflected in the program chart. Now, this is absolutely very important. As I said, these all things are tied up to each other. If I'm planning for resources, I'm also looking at risks in resources not becoming available at the right time. And then there might be some other quality issues. So everything is has to be integrated in the program management plan. This is individually planning all these areas may not serve the whole purpose. And naturally, the outputs would be the program resource requirement estimate and contributing towards business case, charter, and the resource management plan. Risk management. We have to conduct risk assessment. The program risk is an event or series of events or conditions that, if they occur, may affect the success of the program. Positive risks are often referred to as opportunities and negative threats. These risks arise from the program components and their interaction with each other. And what could be the aspects of technical complexity could be the thing. Schedule or cost constraints could be there with the broader environment in which the program is managed. You see, when we are talking about program, we have to think a little bigger than the project. We may not be talking in millions, we may be talking in trillions. Two aspects of the risk should be assessed during program definition. Firstly, identification of the key risks. That is important, that you be able to understand what all risks could be there. Again, I'm not asking you to come up with a comprehensive list, but at least you should have a fair idea what kinds of risks could be there that the program may encounter, and their relative likelihood and impact should be developed as an input to the business case and the program chart. Secondly, we have to carry out an assessment of the organization's willingness to accept and deal with the risks. This is the tolerance. What is the organizational tolerances for program risks? How much can the organization bear without taking any action? Sometimes referred to as the risk appetite is essentially in understanding the level of effort that may be required to monitor and assess risk during program delivery. So while we are doing this initial assessment and we understand the risk level is too high, probably we may not be contributing towards the feasibility of this program. Output is risk assessment, and it is going to be input into business case, charter naturally, and program initial cost estimated will be also impacted by that. Program roadmap will be impacted by that, and naturally the risk management plan is going to be developed based on this risk assessment. Then comes schedule. Times and milestones are extremely important. Although, as usual, as I said earlier, in all other areas, we cannot be very specific. We cannot have fixed dates. But anyways, we should have some kind of milestones in our mind. An assessment of expectations for delivery dates, benefit milestones should be part of the program charter. The roadmap would be showing that. This initial assessment would also state the level of confidence in the assessment of activity durations and identify where alternative activities should be initiated if activities run into excessive delays. And the output would be naturally the schedule assessment affecting charter, roadmap, schedule management plan, and ultimately the program management plan. Scope. As we understand from our previous knowledge on project management, we do not want any out of scope work done in our program, right? So although the scale is much bigger than the project, but philosophy is the same. We want to do all the work required to accomplish the benefits of this program, and we do not want to do any extra work, any redundant work, because that is not covered. That is out of scope. So we have to clearly define what is in scope and what is out of scope. So it defines the work required to deliver a benefit. That could be major, the benefit could be in shape of a product, service, or result, or some function or feature, or even some capability. But this is at the program level. Program scope management is the define, develop, monitor, control, and verify program scope. I think this one line had to be in the scope, and it is. So at the program level, we have to define, develop, monitor, control, and verify our program scope. Decomposition, like we are well aware of, we have to break it down into a work breakdown structure. So we will develop a program work breakdown structure, right? And this would be handled by the program work breakdown structure would be handled by the program activities and the program manager. Scope management aligns the program scope with the program's goals and objectives. It includes work decomposition into deliverable component products designed to deliver the associated benefits. So here, benefits are more important to us. The assessment of program scope, which includes the boundaries, what is in scope and what is out of scope, links to other programs, projects, and ongoing activities, is required as part of the program charter and to support initial costs, change, resource, risk, and schedule assessment. Initial program scope assessment develops the program scope statement. So now we understand what does the program scope assessment do. It creates a scope statement. From the program goals and objectives, the input to the program charter can be obtained from program sponsor or stakeholder through the portfolio management or stakeholder alignment activities. And the output would be program scope assessment, which is contributing towards the program charter only. Next, we move on to the planning phase. This is the next sub phase under defining. So we are doing all these assessments in defining, and now we are doing the planning. So this is basically the definition phase. Program management plan is the big plan, and all other areas we just discussed are going to be integrated into the program management plan, and those all have to be, the in command is the program management plan. All other plans are contributing towards the program management plan. Program management plan includes the general guideline for running the program, general guideline. And within it, it will have the details about the finances and all other things. So all the management plans would actually sum up to a program management. In program planning, the program organization is defined, an initial team is deployed, to develop the program management plan. So the responsibility of developing the program management plan is with the program manager, naturally along with his team, and program charter and the output from these assessments completed during the program definition. Then let's talk about what is the roadmap. The plan, this program management plan, includes the roadmap of the program components. What are the program components? All the programs, sub-programs, all the projects. So sub-programs and projects, big or small, no matter what, they all are instruments. So they contribute towards the overall program. The plan should be open for changes, taking into consideration that the success of a program is not measured against its baseline. There is no baseline as far as the program is concerned, but is measured by how an organization is able to realize benefits, because the purpose of the program is to realize benefits. The program management plan is therefore a reference document and should be seen as managed baseline. In figure 8.2, we'll just show you how program planning activities support the development of the program management plan through core activities of program integration management. So just have a look at this diagram. Again, we are referring to the same areas, but now we are not doing the assessment. Now we are developing the detailed management plans. We will have change management plan from here, communication management plan, cost estimation, cost management plan, financial framework establishment, financial management planning, information management planning, procurement management plan, quality management planning, resource management planning, risk management planning, schedule management planning, scope management planning. All of these management plannings will have to be vetted, right? You may have found them all feasible as in the assessment, and now you have created the management plans, but this for this to be successful, we need to have a wide understanding at all levels. So this program management plan, which would be forming out of combination of all this, will go for integration, and there some core program activities will be interacting with it. Number one, business case will be received here, program charter will be received here by the integration, by the program plan, and program formulation, assessment and estimates. This will contribute towards the portfolio side, and program management plan activities are a smaller part. So taking them one by one, program change management plan would describe how any change in this program can occur, how that change will be implemented. So a change management activity should be established to administer changes during the course of the program. The program change management plan is a component of the program management plan that establishes program change management principles and procedures, including the approach for capturing requested changes, evaluating each requested change, determining the disposition of each requested change, where it is, I just lost it. Determining the disposition of each requested change, communicating a decision to impacted stakeholders, documenting the change request and supporting detail, and authorizing work and funds. As far as change management is concerned, we will focus on Plan should focus on how to evaluate the impact of change. Change might be in a project, sub-program, or any program activities component. Change could be in the roadmap which we created, or it could be in the technology sector to the program outcomes, and therefore on the benefits expected by the stakeholder. You just have to be very mindful that any changes would not only be impacting these management plans, but overall these changes have a long lasting effect. Based on that assumption, the program steering committee should agree on the level of program change threshold that should trigger the change process. So this is an intelligent decision. The outputs from change management would be the change management plan and change thresholds. Thresholds are the limits. How far from the limit should I go that we are still serving the main cause? Importance of managing communication internal and external to the program cannot be underestimated or overlooked. Program managers spend significant time, as we already talked about, in communicating with the stakeholders, program teams, component teams. So he would be talking with a lot many people. Significant problem may occur if sufficient effort is not committed to the communication. So we must focus. Then communication management planning, we have some critical links. Program communication management includes the activities for the timely and appropriate generation, collection, distribution, storage, retrieval, and ultimate disposition of program information. These activities provide the critical link between people and information that are necessary for successful communication and decision making. So this is a bit of a secret work. Right. Program communication management planning is the activity of determining the information and communication needs. And by bringing them both together, now they can be friends. They will know, each one of these will know what their duties are. When they need it, how it will be given to them by and by whom. So it's better that before your boss orders you to help the other person or maybe use your raw material, then it should be satisfied. Not at the program level or at the highest level, but locally we should be satisfied with it. Then is the program communications management plan is the component of the program plan in the component of the program management plan that desires and describes how, when, and by whom information will be administered and okay. Communication requirements should be clearly defined to facilitate the transfer of information between programs and its components, and from the program to appropriate stakeholders. Now, if we look at it, we do not find many offices in any organization who would say that this communication management requirement was not required here, or how much of work is required to be done. So we have got communication requirement which should be clearly defined and to facilitate the transfer of information plan between the program and its components, and from the program to that appropriate stakeholder with appropriate content and delivery method. Then is the communication management. Actually, in communication management, we have a lot many problems. Should be clearly defined. Communication requirement should be clearly defined to facilitate the transfer of information and from the program that appropriate communication. Then is a distinction. As the program progresses, other components are added and new stakeholders become how they address the issue. The distinction between should be considered when planning communication. Cultural and language interferences, maybe those people who can communicate better in English, they should keep their box separate, right? Outputs, communication management plan, and communication requirements. In cost estimation, it's a tiered funding, but the person who is providing the funding, he may not have been in your situation. This probably is going to be the first time that you have gotten rid of these problems. Then there are some other miscellaneous factors. You see, a weight or personality may have applied based on risk and uncertainty of the work to be performed, and during the order to derive a stakeholder factor in the estimate. A weight or probability may be applied on the risk and complexity of the work to be performed in order to derive confidential factors on the estimate. So number one, as we are moving ahead, she probably is the last man standing. Rest everybody has changed jobs. So now you may be the best pilot, but still you are working under the PMI chapter. Total cost of ownership. What is the total cost of ownership? When determining program cost, decision makers may be indeed as these assumptions they prove unfounded in the course of program delivery and require reconsideration of the program business case. Well, I have no objection with that, but you are adding a lot of work just to log as I think we should have a break about 10 minutes and then I'll be back. I'm sorry, I'm back. Little more time I've taken. Okay, so where were we? Okay, so we were talking about the critical assumptions in program cost estimates should also be identified any critical assumptions upon which the estimate are made, as these assumptions may prove unfounded in the course of program delivery and require reconsideration of the program business case or revision of the program management plan. So we are going to deal with such a long journey that we may have to keep revising the business case and the program management plan, and this is going to be a constant. So we must identify those critical assumptions, especially in the program cost estimate, which may go wrong. Any assumptions, if they are unfounded, then we should correct our plans accordingly. Finally, program cost estimation can support or guide cost estimation at the component level. Any prevailing program level cost estimation guidance intended for use at the component level should be documented and communicated to component managers. The output would be for the output of this activity would be the program cost estimates, program cost estimation assumptions, and component cost estimation guidelines. Based on the program cost estimations, we will provide guideline or governance to the components like projects, sub-programs and all that, and they would be governed by those assumptions. Finally, program cost estimation can support or guide cost estimation at the component level. Any prevailing program level cost estimation guidance intended for use at the component level should be documented and communicated to component managers. So this is like a governance umbrella. So program has done its job and provided governance to its components, and they are supposed to abide by that governance framework, and they ultimately would be developing whatever plans within the range of that governance framework. Output should, in this case, be the cost estimates, cost assumptions, and a cost estimation guidelines, as I said. Looking at the funding model from the program financial framework establishment point of view, type of program and the funding structure dictate the financial environment for the duration of the program. Funding model vary from those that are funded entirely from with a single organization, those who are managed within a single organization but funded separately. The source of funding is coming from somewhere else, and the managing organization is only one single organization. Then funded and managed entirely from outside the parent organization. And fourth is supported with internal and external sources of funding. So these are various funding models, and it all depends what kind of model you are lying in, and accordingly you will plan. Funding sources and timing. Often the program itself may be funded by one or more sources, and the program component may be funded by altogether different sources. In addition to funding sources, the timing of funding has a direct impact on a program's ability to perform. To a much greater extent than for projects, program cost occurs earlier, often years earlier than their related benefits. I hope you understand the mechanism of benefits coming years later than the deliverable. Exactly the same thing. You may have spent your money in the program work, but the expected benefits would maybe coming 3 or 4 years down the road. So you have to sustain and survive till that time, till those benefits come, and then they will start equating and equalizing the whole thing. Program financing. Objective of financing in program development is to obtain funds to bridge the gap between paying out money for development and obtaining the benefits of the programs. Covering this large negative cash balance in the most effective manner is a key challenge in program finance. The funding organization. Due to the large amount of money involved in most programs, the funding organization is rarely a passive partner, but instead has significant input to the program management and to decisions made by the business leads, technical leads, and the program manager. So this is a key sponsor, not only from the funding point of view, but otherwise also. Due to this, communications with the program sponsor and other key stakeholders should be proactive and timely. A program financial framework is a high-level initial plan for coordinating available funding, determining constraints, and determining how the framework defines and strategizes the funding so that money is spent as effectively as possible. There's a little bit of problem here. Okay. Now let us have a look at the impact of business case as far as the financial framework establishment is concerned. As the program financial framework is developed and analyzed, changes may be identified that impact the original business case. You see, as we move ahead with the financial framework, your business case is likely to change. So whatever your business case is taking shape, that would justify whether we should continue with the program or not. Based on these changes, the business case is revised with full involvement of the decision makers. Communications and stakeholders. It is important to understand the specific and unique needs of the program sponsor and the funding organization's representative with regard to financial arrangements. The program communications management and stakeholder engagement plans may need updates to reflect these needs. This is one of the reasons why stakeholder here is so very important, and why we need to communicate more often with them. So stakeholder engagement, stakeholder management, communication management, and then the information management, all of these things are interrelated and very important. As the business case is likely to change uh, due to the financial situation, you see your stakeholders are also going to take impact out of it, and uh, the communication requirement with the stakeholders will accordingly change. The outputs from financial framework establishment would be the financial framework itself. The business case may be updated, so updates and updates to the project communication plan and stakeholder engagement plans. This financial management planning comprises of program financial management, comprises of the activities like identifying the program's financial sources and resources, which we just talked about, integrating the budgets of the program components. So whatever is the calculations provided to us by the components, we'll add them all up to create an overall estimate for the program, developing the overall budget for the program and controlling costs during the program. In this context, program financial management plan is a component of the program management plan that documents all the program financial aspects like funding schedule, milestones, initial budget, contract payments and schedules, financial reporting activities and mechanisms, and financial metrics. The program financial management plan expands upon the program financial framework and describes the management of items like risk reserves, potential cash flow problems, international exchange rate fluctuations, future interest rate increase or decrease, inflation, currency devaluation, local laws regarding finances, trends in material costs, and contract incentives and penalty clauses. So all of these things are very important in establishing the financial management plan. As far as internal funding is concerned, the plan should include an approval or authorization process to allocate funds for programs components. For programs that are funded internally, either through retaining earnings, bank loans, or the sale of bonds, the program manager should consider scheduled contract payments, inflation, the aforementioned factors, and other environmental factors, because those factors may impact and the whole scenario may change. So we have to be extra cautious about, especially about the internal funding. When developing the program financial management plan, the program manager should also include any component payment schedules, operational costs, and the infrastructure costs. This ultimately have to be baseline. Here we are not talking about the baselining of the cost. We are talking about the initial budget. So developing the program's initial budget involves compiling all available financial information and listing all income and payment schedules in sufficient detail so that the program costs can be tracked as part of the program budget. Once baseline, the budget becomes the primary financial target that the program is measured against. The plan should include an approval or authorization process to allocate funds for program components. So there must be a mechanism to authorize the payments. For programs that are funded internally, either through retaining earnings, bank loans, or the sale of bonds, program manager should consider scheduled contract payments, etc. Financial metrics. It is important to develop financial metrics by which the program's benefits are measured. This is usually a challenge as cause-effect relationships are often difficult to establish in an endeavor the size and length of a program. One of the tasks of the program teams and the program steering committee is to establish and validate these financial performance indicators. So this financial performance indicator could be a big symbol for us, as if we are spending our money where it really has to be spent? Is it justified? And if it is not justified, I would say, if at all we have to run, then cut your losses and run. Do not delay a already unfortunate situation. Just get rid of it as if you don't suffer any further losses. This is a very tricky situation. So here we talk about the financial risks as changes to cost, schedule, and scope occur throughout the duration of the program. These metrics are measured against the internal metrics used to improve the program. Decision to continue, cancel, or modify the program are based in part on the results of these financial measures. Program financial risks that are identified as part of the financial management plan should be incorporated into the program risk register. So no matter from where those risks are coming from, cost, from schedule, from scope, but those risks are impacting our finances. So these are our financial risks. Therefore, financial management plan should define how these program risks are incorporated. And naturally, from financial management planning, we will get the financial management plan, we will get the initial program budget, program funding schedules, component payment schedules, program operational costs, input to program cost registers, and program financial metrics. How are we going to measure? Then we have the information management plan. We already had the information assessment done. So here we are creating the information management plan. Just understand, as the assessment was in itself difficult at the program level, so the information management plan is, you are digging deep into it. It is true for any of the management plans within the program. The program information management plan is a component of the program management plan naturally that describes how the program information assets will be prepared, collected, organized, and secured. It is often composed of, but not limited to, information management policies, distribution lists, appropriate tools, templates, and reporting formats. So these are the things we may have to refer to. Some information will be gathered and retrieved through a variety of media, including manual filing systems, electronic databases, project management software, and systems that allow access to technical documentation such as engineering, drawings, design specifications, and test plans. Program information distribution methods are determined once the program's information system, management system, is determined. So this all depends upon what kind of PMIS you are using. Program management information system or program information management system, one and the same thing. So what kind of information distribution system are you using, and accordingly this will act. Then is the information technology, allows for rapid dissemination of large amounts of data to a large number of recipients, which requires careful planning and setup of the program's information management system. So information management system is greatly relying on the automation. Although I do understand that information management can happen otherwise also. It could be a manual filing system, as it was mentioned earlier, but most likely we are having some kind of software being used for dealing with these things. So we will not try to reinvent the wheel, and we would rather go with the flow. The outputs from this would be program information management plan and program information management tools and templates. Then comes the procurement. Procurement management is the application of knowledge, skills, tools, and techniques necessary to acquire products and services to meet the needs of the overall program and the constituent projects and components. So a program, whatever contracts it is going to get into, the subcontracts, that many procurements would be done. Program procurement management planning addresses the activity necessary to acquire products and services, and therefore the specific procurement needs that are unique to managing the overall program and the need of the constituent components. The program requirement management plan is a component of the program management plan that describes how the program will acquire goods and services from outside of the performing organization. The main thing is how you plan it. Remaining work is not that difficult. A program manager should understand that resources required for the delivery of benefits expected of the program, techniques such as make or buy decision and program work breakdown structure charts aid in this activity. If you remember your lessons on project management, you will see we are exactly talking the same thing in a bigger perspective. The only thing is the perspective has changed. Otherwise, the core methodology is the same. How do we decide that what job has to be outsourced? What procurements have to be done within the program or the project? Basically, we have the litmus test, the very simple test, and that is, can we do it? If we can't, then it should be we should get it done by someone. Why can't we do it? There could be three reasons. Number one, we do not have the capability to do it, so we decide to outsource. If we do have the capability to do it, do we have the capacity to do it? Do we have enough staff which can handle that job? If not, then again outsource. And the third is, maybe we have the capability as well as the capacity, but this is a very risky job. We can do it, but it may be very damaging. So why to take risk? Let us transfer the risk to someone else. So here we are trying to transfer the risk in that manner. Okay. Early and intensive planning is critical for successful program procurement management. Through the planning activities, the program manager looks across all program components and develops a comprehensive plan that optimizes the procurements to meet program objectives and for the delivery of program benefits. To do this, program procurement management addresses commonalities and differences for the various procurements across the program scope and determines. Through the planning activity, the program managers look around, look across all the program components and develop a comprehensive plan that optimizes the procurement to meet program objectives and for the delivery of program benefits. To do this, program procurement management addresses commonality and differences for the various procurements across the program scope and determines. These are the things that it determines whether some of the common needs of several individual components could best be met with one overall procurement. You see, I am having many components, many projects running under me, and there is a kind of work which is common to all, right? So if there is something which is common to all, then I should not leave this decision to project procurements. I can probably hire the services of someone who can handle the load of the whole program, and we may get a lot of rebate if we can get this job done by a single source. The best mix of the types of procurement contracts planned across the program at the component level, a particular type of contract, that is firm fixed price, may appear to be the best procurement solution. But a different contract type, that is incentive fee, may be optimal for that same procurement when viewed at the program levels. The best program-wide approach to competition, for example, the risk of sole source contracts in one area and the program could be balanced with the different tasks associated with full and open competition in other areas of the program. The best program-wide approach to balancing specific external regulatory mandates, for example, rather than setting aside a certain percentage of each contract in the program to meet a small business mandate, if it may be optimal to award me one complete contract to achieve the same mandate. So this is when we deal in bulk with the contractor. Then we have got the alternatives analysis. Often an analysis of the alternative is performed in the planning stage. This may include request for information, feasibility studies, trade studies, market analysis, and this is for determining the best fit of solutions and services to meet the specific needs of the program. Okay, alternatives analysis. Often an analysis of alternatives is performed in the planning stage. It may include request for information, as I said, feasibility study, trade studies, and the market analysis to determine the best fit of solutions and services to meet the specific needs of the program. Working closely due to the inherent need to optimize program procurement management and the requirement to adhere to all legal and financial obligations, it is essential that all personnel responsible for procurement at the component level work closely together, especially during the planning phase. And therefore, the output of the procurement would be the program procurement study standards, program procurement management, and program budget and financial plan. This is all to be updated. As far as the quality management plan is concerned, program management is responsible for the planning of the proper quality assurance criteria throughout the life cycle of the program, which may in fact exceed the timeline of the individual components. Now, new quality control tools of activities and techniques may be introduced into the just a moment. Okay, into the program and employed where appropriate. For example, when new laws are enacted or new components are introduced during the program life cycle, when initiating the program, the cost of the level of quality requirements should be evaluated. Incorporated quality is a variable cost in all components and should be considered as such in the program quality management plan. It is beneficial to analyze program quality in order to evaluate it across the program with the goal of combining quality, costs, and where feasible. Then we have coordinated testing in quality management. Naturally, whatever testing is to be carried out, it should be done simultaneously on various components. If the tests are not coordinated, products and deliverables could be tested several times throughout the program, and a cost incurred for no valid reason. So we are not using it, we get it made, and although it was very cheap, but for so many years I am sitting on this table and I am doing the same thing. So basically I am blocking the view. Considered earlier, Most of the people think that quality management should be considered when defining all program management activity as well as for every deliverable or service. The output of the activity is a program quality management plan. Naturally, it will contain the quality policy, quality standard, quality estimates of cost, and from the quality side, we have the quality metrics, service level agreements, and so on and so forth. Resource management planning involves identifying existing resources and the need for additional resources. In the case of human resources, the sum of resources needed to successfully complete each component can be less than the total quantity of resources needed to complete the program. Because the resources can be reallocated between components as the components are completed. Program manager analyzes the availability of each resource in terms of both capability and capacity, and determines how these resources will be allocated across components to avoid overcommitment or unjustifiable. Okay. Forecast and prioritization. A resource management plan is a component of program management plan that forecasts the expected level of resources used across the program. Manager to identify potential resource shortfalls and conflicts over the use of scarce or unconstrained resources. To plan this, okay. The plan also describes the guidelines for making program resource prioritization decisions and resolving resource conflicts. When resources are unavailable, this is from the purpose of the statement of work. When resources are unavailable within the program manager calls upon the larger organization for assistance. When necessary, the program manager should work with the organization to develop a statement of work to contract the necessary resources. And the outputs would be the resource management plan and the resource requirements. Okay, coming over to risk management planning. Program risk management planning identifies how to approach and conduct risk management activities for a program by considering its components. The principles of risk management should be applied as outlined in the practice standard for the project risk management. The risk management plan is a component of the program management plan that describes how much risk management activities develop the structured and perform. Basis for evaluation. Planning risk management activities ensure that the level, type, and visibility of the risk management are appropriate based on the risk and importance of the program to the organization. It identifies the sources and time required for risk management activities. In addition, some risk management activities, it establishes an agreed upon basis for evaluating risks. Conducted earlier. The program risk management planning activity should be conducted early in the program definition phase. It is crucial for the successful performance of other activities described in this section. It may also need to be reported or whatever whenever major changes occur in the program. Key output is of the risk management planning is the program risk register, as we understand from the project management, which is the document in which risks are recorded together with the result of risk analysis and risk response planning. The program risk register is a living documentation that is updated as program risks and risk responses change during program delivery. Okay, let's have a little break. We'll be back after about 10 minutes. Any questions so far?
No, sir, no question. We'll take a break.
Okay, let's have a break.
But one thing, sir, we need to.
जी बोलिए.
But one thing, we need to read a lot. We need to go through all the standards, everything. We need to read a lot.
Not really. You see, just try to understand that you are looking at the things at a bigger level, right? Although I do understand you may have to go through the basic concepts of the strategy and other things, but it does not mean that you have to read through a lot many things. This just means that you make your mind a little bigger to understand the meaning of this kind of environment in which a lot many things are there. But remember, as you are encompassing more, the detail is less. The detail is less. You are going at the high level, right? So that's why this is bearable. You don't have to really worry about it. Okay, let's have a break then.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Most welcome. Yes, I'm back. Okay, so we were talking about the
Okay.
outputs. Just a moment. Okay, we were talking about the outputs of program risk management planning. The key output of the activity is the naturally the program risk register, as we used to have in project, which is the document in which risks are recorded together with the result of risk analysis and risk response planning. Nothing different, exactly like project, but the scale has been increased. Program risk register is a living document that is updated as program risk and risk response changes during program delivery. It is essential to define risk profiles of organizations to construct the most suitable approach to managing program risk, adjusting risk sensitivity, and monitoring risk criticality. Risk targets and risk thresholds influence the program management plan. Risk profiles may be expressed in policy statements or revealed in action. Then is the organizational willingness. These actions may highlight organizational willingness to embrace high threat situations or a reluctance to forego high opportunity choices. This is exactly what we used to call the acceptance level, the tolerance level. So how much can you tolerate? So this also relates to the same phenomena. Market factors that apply to the program and to its components should be included in an environmental factor. Culture of the organization and stakeholders also plays a role in shaping the approach to risk management. We must have some predefined approaches for that to risk management, such as risk categories, common definitions and concepts, because we are dealing with a lot many risks. So we should have some prepared plans, template plans, which we could use in specific situations. So we must have risk statement format, we must have standard templates, roles, responsibilities, authority levels for decision making. Lessons learned from executing similar programs in the past are also critical assets to be reviewed as a component of establishing an effective risk management plan. So the output from here would be the risk management plan and the risk register. Then moving on to the schedule management plan. This is pretty much like the project schedule, but it is not going to be as detailed as a schedule, but it will be much more complex because this will show the whole roadmap of all the components. The program schedule management activity determines the order and timing of the components needed to produce the program benefit, estimates the amount of time required to accomplish each one, identifies significant milestones during the performance of the program, and documents the outcome of each milestone. Typically, a program schedule is developed collaboratively with components. Naturally, program managers stand alone cannot make a detailed schedule for the whole program. So first, the program manager creates a outline plan, and he assigns through his governance structure, he assigns that to various components. Components create their detailed plan. That detailed plan is gathered from all the components, and then it is assembled into the program management plan. Program activities will create their own portion of the schedule, and ultimately this will grow out to be the program schedule. So program components, naturally you understand, they include the projects and subsidiary programs and other work undertaken to deliver the program scope. So project schedule management planning begins with the scope management plan, and after the work breakdown structure, the program level work breakdown structure has been created, which defines how the program components are expected to deliver the program's output and benefits. There are a lot many similarities to program and project level, like risk, like schedule, like cost, but at the same time there are various levels, differences in levels of detail. You don't have to be really bothered about it. You don't have to worry about it, because if you can just understand the mechanism, how the things are flowing, you don't need to remember everything. Initial program master schedule. The initial program master schedule is often created before the detailed schedule of the individual component are available. This is exactly what I said, the outline plan at the program level. The program delivery dates and major milestones are developed using the program roadmap and the program charter. So first program charter, then program roadmap, then this initial program master schedule, and then the detailed program management schedule. So what is this program master schedule? Program master schedule is the top level program planning document that defines the individual component schedules and dependencies among program components, individual components, and program level activities required to achieve the program goal. It should include those components milestones that represent an output to the program or share independency with other components. The program master schedule should also include activities that are unique to the program, including but not limited to the activities related to the stakeholder engagement, program level risk mitigation, and program level reviews. So all program level work would be included here. Program master schedule determines the timing of individual components, enables the program manager to determine when benefits will be delivered by the program, and identifies external dependencies of the program. The first draft of the program master schedule often only identifies the order and start and end dates of the component and their key interdependencies with other components. So only this much. Later it is built up. Later it may be enriched with more intermediate component results as the component schedules are developed. Once the high-level program master schedule is determined, the dates for each individual component are identified and used to develop the component schedule. These dates often act as a constraint at the component level. When a component has multiple deliverables upon which other components rely, those deliverables and interdependencies should be reflected in the overall program master schedule. When a program is established over a set of existing components, the program master schedule needs to incorporate the milestones and deliverables from the individual component schedules. The schedule model principles outlined in the practice standard for scheduling, second edition, should also be applied to the program master schedule. I hope you have not studied the practice standard for scheduling, but if you study that, explains all kinds of scheduling. It explains how the program, portfolio, or project level scheduling can be done, and the general principles which are not even given in the PMBOK, they are also discussed there. So, having read that, I can say that there is not a lot of difference except for the change of level. That's all. Maintaining a logic-based program network diagram and monitoring the critical path for component outputs with interdependencies is essential to effective management of the program master schedule, while focusing on benefits realization based on deliverables upon the critical path. The program schedule management plan is a component of the program management plan that establishes the criteria and the activities for developing, monitoring, and controlling the schedule. Program schedule management plan should include guidance on how changes to schedule baselines are to be coordinated and controlled across program components. The program master schedule identifies the agreed upon sequence of component deliverables to facilitate effective planning of the individual component deliveries and of expected benefits. It provides the program team stakeholders with a visual representation of how the program is going to be delivered through its life cycle. The program master schedule is a living document and provides the program manager with a mechanism to identify risks and escalate component issues that may affect the program goals. Program schedule risk inputs that are identified as part of the program master schedule development should be incorporated into the program risk register. These risks may be a result of component dependencies within the schedule or on external factors identified as a result of the agreed upon program schedule management plan. The program schedule management plan may establish scheduling standards that apply to all program components. So, program roadmap and change. Program roadmap should periodically be assessed and updated. You remember, program roadmap is the basis for even the initial program plan and then the ultimately schedule management plan. And the only thing which we had before that was the program charter. So program charter was important to develop the roadmap. Based on the program charter, this roadmap was developed. This roadmap was just showing us the timeline. The program roadmap should periodically be assessed and updated. And while we are doing that, we may have to affect the program schedule which we have created later. Changes in the program master schedule may require changes in the program roadmap, and changes in the program roadmap should be reflected in the program master schedule. So vice versa. So these three things keep amending each other. The output of this activity includes the program schedule management plan, program master schedule. So both of these things are coming out simultaneously. Inputs to the project risk register, because risk register will be affected by that, and updates to the risk program roadmap if program roadmap is affected. Then comes the scope, decomposing program scope. So program scope management planning includes all of the activities involved in planning and aligning the program scope with the program goals and objectives. It includes work decomposition into deliverable component products designed to deliver the associated benefits. The objective is to develop a detailed program scope statement, break down the program work into deliverable components, and develop a plan for managing the scope throughout the program. Objective is to develop a detailed program scope statement, breakdown of the program work into deliverable components, and develop a plan for managing the scope throughout the program. Program scope is typically described in the form of expected benefits, but may also be described as user stories or scenarios, and that would be if we are using Agile, because in Agile we talk in terms of user stories, not the requirements, depending on the type of program. Program scope encompasses all benefits to be delivered by the program, which are reflected in the form of a program work breakdown structure. Talking about work breakdown structure, program level, program WBS is a deliverable-oriented hierarchical decomposition encompassing the total scope of the program, and it includes the deliverables to be produced by the constituent components. Elements not in the program WBS are outside the scope of the program. The program WBS includes but is not limited to program management artifacts such as plans, procedures, standards, processes, program management deliverables, and program management office support deliverables. The program work breakdown structure provides an overview of the program and shows how each component contributes to the objectives of the program. Okay, program work WBS includes but is not limited to the program management artifacts such as plans, procedures, standards, processes, program management deliverables, program management office support deliverables, and all. Program WBS provides an overview of the program and shows how each component contributes to the objectives of the program. Talking about decomposition, we already understand what decomposition is. We are breaking things down to the level of the lowest level of the work breakdown structure. So decomposition stops at the level of control required by the program manager. This is exactly the same definition we used to have for the project manager. In project WBS, we used to decompose it down to the level it serves the project manager. So that was the work package level. Here it says the control program manager needs to exercise. That is the level of control till which the decomposition will be done. Typically, the first one or two levels of a component. Program WBS serves as the framework for developing the program master schedule and defines the program manager's management control points. It is an essential tool for building realistic schedules, developing cost estimates, and organizing work. It also provides a framework for reporting, tracking, and controlling. Now, the program level deliverables, what could they be? They should be clearly linked to benefits and focus on those activities associated with stakeholder engagement, program level management, as opposed to management within its components. The management within the component is not the subject here. Here, we are only concerned about the program level management. So, all the work of the program level management will only be handled by the program work breakdown structure. Component oversight and integration. You see why? Because the program level breakdown, project level breakdown will take care of the component activities. So we'll break the things down to the place where it connects with the project, and any further into the project we don't need to go. Okay. Scope includes scope that is decomposed and allocated into components. Care should be taken to avoid decomposing component level scope into details that overlap the component manager's responsibility. Do not create the WBS for the project manager or the component manager. You do your job and leave it where project manager's job starts. Don't try to do his job for him. Let him do his job. So, at most, if a program manager wants to create a product, program level work breakdown structure, he should go down as low as one level into the project. He may advise that you may have these kinds of phases or this breakdown. One level of breakdown it can suggest to the project manager, and that too it is the will and wish of the project manager to follow that or not. But at least what he needs to follow is the upwards work breakdown structure, because that has been provided by the senior management to and he cannot change it. The component manager cannot change the program WBS. Once the scope is developed, a plan for managing, documenting, and communicating scope changes should be developed during the program definition phase. A program scope management plan is a component of the program management plan that describes how scope will be defined, developed, monitored, controlled, and verified. So, the output of this activity would be the program scope statement, program scope management plan, program work breakdown structure, WBS. And there, your planning is complete. So all the management areas, there were two steps, very simple. One we had the definition, and then we had this planning. First we have the formulation, and then we have the planning. Whole of this thing was called definition. So in formulation, we did all kinds of assessment for all these areas. And when we were in planning, we developed the management plans for each one of these areas. That is the basic story behind everything. Now, once the plan is complete, we are getting into execution. So, program delivery is the execution of the program. At program level, this is the execution. Program will be executed in this by time. Now, as far as the components are concerned, many components will be initiated during this program delivery phase. They will be completed during this phase. So their life cycle is going to be happening during the program delivery. But as far as the program is concerned, program will go into implementation, into execution as soon as we enter program delivery. And this will, all the work, all the benefits would have been yielded by the end of program delivery, right? And those benefits will then be handed over enclosure. So program delivery phase activities include program activities required to coordinating and managing the actual delivery of the program. These include activities around change control, reporting, information distribution, as well as activities around cost, procurement, quality, and risk. These provide supporting activities and processes that run throughout the program lifecycle and are aimed to provide the program monitoring and controlling functions. So the execution, monitoring and control, all is going to be happening during the delivery. This one single phase is going to cover execution, monitoring and control. So figure 8.3 will illustrate the program delivery activities, support, program and component management, and this is what it is. So simple, same items, 100% same items. Now what we are going to be doing about them was, just like in project management, all of those areas have to be monitored and controlled. As far as the change is concerned, change will be monitored and controlled. Communication will be managed. You remember, communication and a lot many other areas, even in project management, are now called manage. They are either managed or monitored, right? So communication is managed, financials is managed, information is managed, resource is managed, and what all are monitored and controlled. Change is monitored and controlled, risk is monitored and controlled, schedule is monitored and scope is monitored and controlled. And as far as the quality is concerned, we need to have assurance and control both. Assurance, now they may call it quality management and control. That's okay, because they might have changed the terminology in PMBOK and assurance as management. So we have no problem with that. Whether they call it management or they call it assurance, that is all right with us. So what does happen when all these documents get into the core management activities? So they are integrated here, but what is coming from top, from governance, we are getting the program guidance. Then we are submitting from here the several program reports to the governance, and program management plans are being updated into governance. We are also interacting with other program components, which are the various projects, sub-programs, program activities, all those we are interacting with them, and they are also being managed and controlled through the supporting program activities. Those supporting program activities are playing a key integral role here. So taking them one by one, change monitoring and control are the activities whereby modification to documents, deliverables, or baselines associated with the program are identified, documented, approved, or rejected. Program change monitoring and control is a critical aspect of overall program delivery, monitoring and controlling, and should include monitoring factors, internal and external, to the program that might create the need for changes to the program. The program change request is a formal proposal to modify any program document, deliverable, or baseline. Program change request should be recorded in the program change log. Program change request should be analyzed to determine their urgency and impact on project baseline elements and other program components. When there are multiple ways to implement the change, the cost, risk, and other aspects of each option should be assessed to enable selection of the approach most likely to deliver the program intended benefits. Once a decision on the program change request has been made by the program manager or program steering committee, program change control should ensure that the request is recorded in the program change log, communicated to appropriate stakeholders according to the program communications management plan, and reflected in updates to component plans as warranted. Output would be any approved change request and updates to the program change log. Then comes communication. Communication management comprises of the activities necessary for timely and appropriate generation, collection, distribution, storage, retrieval, and ultimate disposal of program information. Program communication management includes coordination, direction, and support of component communications to ensure alignment with the program's overall communication objective. Program information is distributed to the receiving parties, including the clients, program sponsor, program sender.
Sir, your voice is breaking, sir.
Oh, I'm sorry. I think there must be some problem with the network. Is it still breaking?
Yes, sir.
Okay, we can wait for a while, about 5 minutes. Maybe it gets well.
Okay, sir.
Okay.
Ashim, it's okay for you?
Yes, it's okay. Basically, I'm not using Wi-Fi. I've connected cable, so my internet is stable.
Okay. So probably this is the
Okay,
problem.
maybe you can start, sir. Let's manage. Okay.
Probably it is a problem at your end because I can hear, I can hear him okay. I can hear you okay, but you can't hear me. Could you hear him? Could you hear Hashim? All right.
Breaking in between. When you're talking, no, in between it's breaking. That's it. I'm hearing you. No problem, sir. You carry on. You carry on. Maybe problem from my end. Okay.
Maybe. Okay. Just a moment. Okay. I was talking about program information. Sorry. So program information is distributed to receiving parties, including the client, program sponsor, program steering committee, component managers, and in some cases the public or press. So all kinds of communication is happening through the communication. The information is being distributed. So communication and information are very closely tied with each other. So what are the outputs of the communication management plan? The outputs of this activity include program communications regarding status information on the program project, subsidiary programs, etc. Notification of program change requests, program financial reports, external filings, presentations, public announcements, press releases, media interviews, and the examples of program information could be face-to-face meetings and presentations, electronic communication and conferencing tools, electronic tools for program management, social media, information communications. So the dynamics of communication remains the same as it was in project management. So the dynamics remain the same. The only thing here is that we must not let it be misinterpreted. Regardless of the distribution method, the information should remain in the program's control. An incorrect message to an audience may cause problems for the program and in some cases lead to the stoppage of a program. Program communication management can be challenging and time consuming and may require a full-time manager assigned to the task. Program reporting is a critical element of program communications as it supports both program governance and stakeholder engagement. So basically, program reporting has, the energy and power of program governance and stakeholder engagement, both big things. Program reporting is the activity of consolidating performance and reporting related data to provide stakeholders with information about how resources are being used to deliver program benefits. Program reporting aggregates all information across projects, subsidiary programs, and program activities to provide a clear picture of the program as a whole. The information flow. This information is conveyed to the stakeholder by means of the information distribution activity to provide them with needed status deliverable information. Additionally, this information is communicated to program team members and its constituent components to provide them with general and background information about the program. Communication should be a two-way information flow. Any communication from customers or stakeholders regarding the program should be gathered by program management, analyzed, and distributed back within the program as required. So, the outputs of program reporting would be reports required by the program sponsors or program agreements, including formats and reporting frequencies, and customer feedback requests, and ultimately the periodic reports and presentations. Then the third area is the financial management. Once the program receives initial funding and begins paying expenses, the financial effort moves into tracking, monitoring, and controlling the program's funds and expenditures. These things start, and we start controlling them. Monitoring the program's finances and controlling expenditures within budget are critical aspects of ensuring the program meets the goals of the funding agency or of the higher organization. A program whose costs exceed the planned budget may no longer satisfy the business case used to justify it and may be subject to cancellation. So you see, this is the big story. If a program is overspending, cost exceeds the planned budget, may no longer satisfy the business case just used to justify it and may be subject to cancellation. You see, even programs can be cancelled if they are no more feasible. If business case is no more valid, they can be cancelled. So please be mindful of that. We don't have to, just have the program for the sake of it. Even minor overruns are subject to audit and management oversight and should be justified. Typical activities in financial management are identifying factors that create changes to the budget baseline, monitoring the environmental factors for potential impact, managing changes when they occur, monitoring cost allocation, impact and results among components, monitoring contract expenditures to ensure funds and disbursed in accordance with the contracts, implementing earned value management like scheduled performance index and cost performance index, identifying impacts to the program components from overruns or underruns, communicating changes to budget baseline to the governance groups and to the auditors at both the program and component levels, and managing the expenditure on the program infrastructure to ensure costs are within expected parameters. You see, you must note this. Whatever is written here is 70% you already know it, or you could understand it. Very few things are new. The only thing which is new is the concept of higher level and how we manage things at such a higher level. Otherwise, almost all the instruments, all the areas are almost the same. budget baseline. Like in projects, we used to have cost baseline. Here we have budget baseline. As part of this activity, payments are made in accordance with the contracts, with the financial infrastructure of the program, and with the status of the contract deliverable. Individual component budgets are closed when work is completed on each component. Throughout the program, as changes are approved that have significant cost impacts, the program budget baseline is updated accordingly and the budget is rebaselined. New financial forecasts for the program are prepared on a regular basis and communicated in accordance with the program communication management plan. Similarly, approved changes either to the program or to an individual component are incorporated into the appropriate budget. All of these activities may result in updates to the program management plan. So the outputs of this activity would be contract payments, closed component budgets, program budget baseline updates, approved change requests, revised estimate at completion, program management plan update, and corrective actions. Then it baselines the cost budgeting, program cost budgeting, baselines program budget. Since programs are by definition composed of multiple components, program budgets should include the cost for each individual component as well as cost for resources to manage the program itself. The baseline program budget is the primary financial target that the program is measured against. Costs. The majority of the program cost is attributable to the individual component within the program and not to managing the program itself. When contractors are involved, the details of the budget come from the contract, the cost of program management, and supporting program activities. It added to the initial budget figure before baseline budget can be prepared. Okay, here we have got two parts. Two important parts of the budget are program payment schedule and component payment schedule. Naturally, it is in a hierarchy. Program payment schedule is for the program activities and it is at a higher level, and component payment schedule is at the lower level. The program payment schedule identifies the schedule and milestones where funding is received by the funding organization. The component payment schedule indicates how and when contractors are paid in accordance with the contract provision. Once the baseline is determined, the program management plan is updated. The outputs would be the output to the program budget baseline and program payment schedules and component payment schedules. As far as uncertainty is concerned, because programs have a significant element of uncertainty, not all the program components may be known when the initial order of magnitude estimates are calculated during the program definition phase. Remember, I did tell you that we have the order of magnitude assessments. In addition, given the typically long duration of a program, the initial estimates may not need to be updated to reflect the current environment and cost considerations. It is a generally accepted good practice to calculate an estimate as close to the beginning of work effort as possible. Lower or higher cost estimate. This way, if the cost of the output is lower than originally planned, the program manager may present an opportunity to the program sponsor for additional products that will be acquired later in the program. Conversely, if the cost is significantly high, the change request may be generated in the approval activity. The benefits of additional product can be weighed against the new cost to determine the proper action. Baseline cost becomes budget. Cost estimates for the individual components within the program are developed. The component costs are baseline and become the budget for that particular component. When a contractor is performing this component, this cost is written into the contract. And the outputs of this activity include component cost estimates. Then is the program information management. As we already talked a bit about information management in the previous communication thing, effective program management involves extensive exchange of information among program management, component management, portfolio management, program stakeholders, the program governance function of an organization. Managing this information and making it available to support program communications, program management, or archiving is a significant and continuous task, especially in organizations pursuing numerous programs or programs that are complicated or complex. So what are the information management tools? Using the information management tools and processes established in the program information management plan, this activity collects, receives, organizes, and stores the documents and other information products created by the program activities, program governance, and program components. Attention should be paid to the accuracy and timeliness of the information to avoid errors and incorrect decisions. The program information repository can be an invaluable aid to other program activities, particularly where there is need to refer to past decisions or prepare analysis based on trends reflected in historical program information. So this is the repository for the information. And the output coming out of it is the program information repository itself and the information distribution and program reporting. Compilation. Lessons learned are a compilation of knowledge gained. This knowledge may be acquired from executing similar and relevant programs in the past, or it may reside in public domain databases. Critical assets. Lessons learned are critical assets to be reviewed when uploading the program stakeholder register, program risk register, and program communication management plan, or when considering major changes to the program management plan, including the introduction of new program components. The lesson learned database is updated when necessary, including at the completion of components and at the end of the program. So outputs from program learned database is lesson learned in reports, input to program stakeholder register and risk register updates, input to program communications management plan updates, and input to program management plan changes. Program procurement management. Program managers utilize multiple tools and techniques to conduct program procurement, but the key objective of conducting program level procurement is to set standards for the components. These standards may come in the form of qualified seller lists, pre-negotiated contracts, blanket purchase agreements, and formalized proposal evaluation criteria. Program managers utilize multiple tools and techniques to conduct program procurement, but the key objective of conducting program level procurement is to set standards for the components. These standards may come in the form of qualified seller list, pre-negotiated contracts, blanket purchase agreements, and formalized proposal evaluation criteria. In common structure used by the program manager is to direct all procurements to be centralized and conducted by a program level team rather than assigning this responsibility to individual components. So we do understand this, and still the problems exist. The output of this activity is naturally, we're talking about procurement, so request for quotation, request for proposal, request for information for bid, proposal evaluation criteria, agreement administration plan, and any signed agreements. Next is the contract administration. Once the program standards are in place and the agreements are signed, administration and closeout of many contracts are transitioned to the components. The Details of contract deliverables, requirement, deadlines, cost, and quality are handled at the component level. The individual managers at the component level report procurement results and closeout to the program manager. Where contracts are administered at the program level, however, component managers coordinate or report deliverable acceptance, contract changes, and other contract issues with the program staff. Program manager maintains visibility in the procurement to ensure the program budget is being expended properly to obtain program benefit. So this visibility is transparency. Outputs are the performance or earned value reports, ongoing progress reports, and vendor and contract performance measurement. Quality assurance and tool and control. Periodic evaluation. Just remember, assurance is all about the work and control is all about the deliverable. So where the product scope will be checked by the quality assurance, the product scope would be verified by okay. Just a moment. Okay. As far as the quality assurance audits are concerned, programs often conduct quality assurance audits to ensure proper updates and are performed. New government laws and regulations may create new quality standards. The program management team is responsible for implementing all required quality changes. Quality assurance updates, lengthy the duration of programs often requires quality assurance load updates throughout the program duration. Program quality assurance focuses on cross-program intercomponent component quality relationships and how one component's quality specification impact another component's quality when they are interdependent. Program quality assurance also includes the analysis of the quality control results of the program components to ensure overall program quality is delivered. The outputs of quality assurance audit are the findings and the change requests. Quality requirements, quality control we are talking about. Program quality control involves the monitoring of specific components or program deliverables and results to determine if they meet the quality requirement and lead to benefit realization. The quality control activity ensures that the quality plans are implemented at project and subsidiary program levels using quality reviews usually performed with constituent component reviews. Quality control is performed throughout the duration of the program. Program results include product and service deliverables, management results, and cost schedule and performance, as well as benefits realized by the end user. The end user satisfaction is a powerful metric that should be obtained to gauge the program quality. Fitness for use. Fitness for use of the benefits, product or service delivered by the program is best evaluated by those who receive it. To that end, programs often use customer satisfaction surveys as a quality control measurement. Outputs of quality control would be quality change request, quality control completed checklist and inspection report, and quality control report on measurement results. Then comes the program resource management. Throughout program delivery, the program manager will need to monitor and control and adopt program resources to ensure benefit delivery. Resource prioritization allows the program manager to prioritize the use of resources that are not available in abundance and to optimize their use across all components within the program. This often involves human resource planning to identify, document, and assign program roles and responsibilities to individuals or groups. During program delivery, the need for staff, facilities, equipment, and other resources change. These fluctuations are similar to the economics of supply and demand. The program manager manages resources at the program level and works with the component manager who manage resources at the component level to balance the needs of the program with the availability of resources. Prioritization decisions. Resource prioritization decisions should be based on the guideline in the program resource management plan. A decision to change existing program components or to initiate new ones may have impacts on program resources, the program resource management plan, and maybe need to be adopted as a result. Outputs would be the program resource prioritization decision and updates to the program resource management plan. Then comes the resource interdependency management, that is shared resources. Resources are often shared among different components within a program, and the program manager should work to ensure that the interdependencies do not cause delay in benefits delivery. This is achieved by carefully controlling the schedule for scarce resources. Program manager ensures the resources are released for other programs when they are no longer necessary for the current program. Scarce resources, naturally a very old story. The program manager may work with the component managers to ensure the program resource management plan accounts for changes in use of interdependent and scarce program resources. Output of this activity includes updates to the program resource management plan. Then we have program risk monitoring and control. Throughout the program delivery, program risk management will monitor and control program risks throughout. Program risk identification, program risk analysis, and naturally the risk response management. So throughout the program delivery, program goes through these three phases. Risk monitoring is also calculated to determine whether program assumptions are still valid. Assessed risk has changed from its prior state with analysis of trends. Proper risk management policies and procedures are being followed. And if at all you don't have that, so you can have the copy which was sent by an old student. Effective program risk management, monitoring and controlling also requires coordination with component risk management functions. Identification of the activities, what is lacking there. The program risk identification activity determines which risks should affect the program, document their characteristics, and prepares for their successful management. Participants program progress as it moves, new risks may involve and become known. The frequency of iteration and involvement of participants may vary, but the format of risk assessment statement should be consistent. This allows for the comparison of the risk event and the program. Identification activity should provide sufficient information to allow the risk to be analyzed and prioritized. Integrate interdependencies. Risk analysis at the program level should integrate relevant program risk components which are senior, but at the same time this is a big picture. Impact इसका क्या है जी? Impact of the negative risk is threat and positive risk is opportunity on the delivery of benefits to the organization and वो तो delivery हो चुकी है. Delivery of benefits to the organization or external stakeholders should be considered at the program level. One essential difference between the program and components is the time scale. Component level risks should be dealt with within a relatively short time frame of just a moment. Let's move on to mitigate and enable. To respond to risk, the program manager identifies and directs actions to mitigate the negative consequences or to enable realization of potential benefits. The program manager may hold contingency reserves at the program level to support risk responses. The program contingency reserve is not substitute for the component contingency reserve, which is held as the component levels. Risk register update based on the program manager's direction component and risk. We look left. We have other elements also here. Okay, based on the program manager's directions, components of the program risk register may be updated, including specific actions to implement the chosen response strategy, budget and schedule activities required to implement the chosen responses, contingency plans, and trigger conditions that call for their execution. Fallback plans for use as a response to risk that have been deliberately accepted, and secondary risks that arise as a direct outcome of implementing the risk response. Output of this activity may include the direction to implement risk responses, program risk register uploads, contingency reserves and management reserves, and change requests. Next is program schedule monitoring and control. Program schedule monitoring and control is the activity of ensuring the program produces the required capabilities and benefits on time. The activity includes tracking and monitoring the start and finish of high-level components and program activities, milestones against the program master schedule planned timelines. Update the program master schedule and definite plan timelines. Updating the program master schedule and directing changes to individual component schedules is required to maintain an accurate and up-to-date program master schedule. Variances and cost correction action. Program schedule monitoring and controlling works along with other program activities to identify variance of the schedule and direct corrective action when necessary and as described in section 7.2.2.2. Successful program management is dependent on the alignment of program scope with cost and schedule, which are dependent on each other. Schedule control involves identifying not slippages but also opportunities to accelerate work or component. Project schedule risk should be tracked as part of the risk management activity. Schedule control involves identifying not only slippages but also opportunities to accelerate program or component schedule, and set should be used for proper risk management. Program schedule risk should be tracked as part of the program management plan. But for all practical purposes, all serious documents are free. If you put it up with a very small fee, people will not be interested. Try to wear the cap of someone who has very recently retired or who has left his medals out. Okay. Program roadmap, releases, reassess program roadmap. As we were revising even the business case, so this is the basic fundamental thing which we need to understand how it behaves. So program roadmap can be tailored as per the requirements of the government or whatever. What all is included in it? Program schedule monitoring and controlling activity includes update to the program master schedule or to its roadmap and schedule risk and output. The output of the activity may include updates to the program manager schedule, updates to the program risk register, and updates to the program roadmap. So the responsibilities of the program manager for determining which component of the program are affected when a program scope changes is requested and should update the program work. Okay. And the outputs are updated program scope statement, disposition of requests for with documentation of the rationale for the decisions, updates to the program management plan, and updates to the program work management plan. Then we have program closure. Program closure phase activities begin when the program components have delivered. And the program has begun to deliver its intended benefits. In some cases, program governance may decide to bring a program to an early close before all components have been completed. In either case, the goal of the program activities during this phase is to release the program resources and support the transition, if any, remaining program outputs and assets, including its documents and databases, to ongoing organizational activities. As far as the closure is concerned, we have got these things. Only 5 processes from supporting program activities: financial closure, information archiving and transition, procurement closure, resource transition, and risk management transition. And rest, the chart is almost the same. From the governance, we are getting the program closure guidance, and after integrating them, we are closing them down. Final report of the program is submitted back to the governance, and all the assets are being sent to organizational operations as if they can adopt it. So in program, the first thing is financial closure, cost of sustaining benefits. To enable program closeout, estimates may be required to determine the cost of sustaining benefits created by the program. While most of these costs are captured in operations, maintenance, or other activities initiated in the program delivery phase, as components are delivered, there may be residential activities required to oversee the ongoing benefit. Stewardship may be structured as an individual project and as a resulting program, or may be incorporated as new work under a separate portfolio or program, under a separate portfolio program, or in new or existing operations. As the program nears completion, the program budget is closed and the final financial report and any unspent monies are returned to the funding organization. Financial transactions. Financial transaction is complete once sustainable budgets are developed, benefits are delivered, and subcontinent has commenced. So the outputs are program final report, update to the program financial management plan, input to the knowledge repository, documentation of new tools and techniques, financial closing statement, and the closed program budget. As far as the program records are concerned, from the information point of view, for legal reasons are to support ensuring operations or other programs, there may be a need to collect program records and organize them for use by the scope by collection and archiving of record and the documentation upon the outputs would be the input to the organizational archives, lessons learned, report to organizational governance bodies, and program procurement closure will look like activities that are those that formally close out each agreement of the program after ensuring that all deliverables have been satisfactorily completed, that all payments have been made and there was no outstanding contractual issue. In the case of a program that is closed early, program and procurement closure manages the termination of above active contract to avoid unnecessary cost. Then procurement closure, we have contract closeout reports, updates to the lessons learned, and close contracts. Resource transition. It is important to ensure the program resources are appropriately released as the program is being closed, but this may involve the reallocation or reassignment of team members and funding to other initiatives or programs. Reassignment of resources at the component level should include transitioning resources to another component already in execution or another program within the organization that requires a similar skill of the task. Refer to the outputs coming out of it is efficient and appropriate release. At the program level, program governance release resources, and the output of this activity would be resource release to other organizational elements. Then is the risk management transition. Remaining risk is usually the risk left over. Although the program is closed, there may be remaining risk that could undermine the realization of projects by the organization. Program risk management activities should transfer these risks along with any supporting analysis and response information to the appropriate Grindy who follow. This may be managed by a different organizational group that the one intended to realize the benefit, such as organizational PMO. Output is organizational risk register. So this is the whole program life cycle. We have covered all the three phases. The definition was further subdivided into program formulation and program planning. The program delivery was not divided as such, but it contained the component authorization and planning, component oversight and integration, and component transition. And outputs from these, the outputs are going to the benefits which are delivered over time. And when the program is being closed, all the benefits have been realized, and this is just a matter of completing the closure. So these diagrams I have shown you already. So this brings us to the end of this chapter and thus this course. So what I intend doing is that tomorrow's class we will continuously have tests. So you must have a little preparation, and tomorrow once you come, you must be ready to attempt the papers. G, any point?
Sir, last time you said you're going to send us the previous edition, but still we did not get it. The standard.
Okay, let me find it and send you immediately. If I can find it there. Previous was 3rd edition. Okay. Program. Anything else?
So after tomorrow, there will be any more class or no more? Finished?
Tomorrow we'll finish.
Okay, sir.
Okay.
Masaji, one more request. Is it possible to provide some question banks? There are a lot of online sites are available, but if you have some any other question banks, then it will be good.
Few questions I can share with you on in the test, online test.
Okay.
So whatever we can practice tomorrow, we'll do that. And then I do have 3rd edition somewhere, but I'm not finding it right now.
The 3rd edition, it's available in your documentation itself. Somewhere I have seen.
Okay, okay. So please look at that. Probably it is there.
Maybe Hashim, I'll send you. No problem. I'll send you. Somewhere I have seen with Masaji's documentation only.
Okay, okay. So Hashim, you check that the link I've sent you about PGMP.
Yeah, the old document I've already downloaded. Let me check where it is.
It must be there.
PGMP material.
It must be there.
Standard 3rd edition. It's a Word file. What is this?
Must be in Word file. But I can
Yeah,
send.
yeah. Okay, okay. 3rd edition, and this one also PDF is there.
So my problem solved.
Yeah, the standard for program management. What is this PDF? 123 pages. Yeah, I believe this is the 3rd edition, 2006 version. Then there is one also Word file which is 2013. Yeah, Word file is 3rd edition. Okay. Okay, so it is here.
Wonderful, wonderful. So we have completed the course on a very fast pace. But you see, this last chapter is good for establishing the mechanism, how the things work. Otherwise, you don't have to practice everything. You don't have to remember everything. The first 7 chapters are good enough to prepare you for the PGMP exam. This chapter only gives you the flow, how the things actually happen within. They can't ask a lot of questions about the program activities. Right, Jeev?
Okay, sir.
Okay, then next tomorrow.
Okay, sir. Thank you. Allah Hafiz. Inshallah.
Take care. Take care. Okay.